Infamous Second Son was the first game on my list once I finally got myself a PS4, and before everything else, let me just say that I absolutely love Infamous. The first two games are just awesome, unique, and original because of the gameplay mechanics, powers, the setting, and the surprisingly well-written story that features a morality system, with the tagline, "Being a hero is optional," and the games definitely succeed in bringing that out. In my opinion, Infamous 1 and 2 are simply one of the best superpowered superhero games out there. Of course they have their own flaws just like any other game, but if you're into this superpower stuff like I am, then you really need to play these.
Not until you fix this first!
So naturally, I was looking forward to the next gen adaptation of Infamous and being able to play it, but unfortunately it turned out to be a real disappointment. So, let's not waste any more time. These are the things that piss me off in Infamous Second Son. Swimming. In case you haven't played this game, here's a little paradox. If you land in water, you're not gonna die, but also you can't swim. The thing is that if you land in water, the game kinda like freezes. You can't move anywhere or use any powers. All you can do is press the touchpad button, then the screen goes black and it takes you back to the shore. Now why the fuck is that even necessary? Was it too much to add some swimming animations? This mechanic can really screw you over in a specific situation if you're not fast enough.
Okay, now you've lost me.
Like if you happen to land in water with low health, you press the button and it takes you back to the shore, right in front of the enemy. Yeah, thanks a lot, asshole. It's ridiculous. This is what I consider to be handholding, a feature that makes a game more easy or lazy that you have no control over. For example, this is how Saints Row 4 did it. If you land in water, you can still keep moving, or you can press a button to get back on land. Second Son, however, feels the need to hold your hand while wiping your ass with this bullcrap. I can't even go to the menu to flip that shit off because the option doesn't exist, so I'm stuck with it. Now, of course, it's not a major problem in this game, it's just annoying if you happen to land in water.
That's pre-programmed bull... Shit.
Enemies. The enemy variety sucks. If you've played the other Infamous games, then you know that there's always been different factions to fight. Both previous games had 3 different factions, and some enemies even came as mini-boss battles. Second Son has only one fucking faction. Department of Unified Pussies, or DUP. That's all.
He's normally cool, he's just... not today.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna count those angels, demons, or these Russian guys since you fight them in only like, what, 1 or 2 missions? Now, to some extent, I'll tolerate this bullshit because the DUP ties into the story the most. But for example, here's how Infamous 2 did it. In the beginning, you fight the militia. Then eventually, in one of the story missions, the game introduces the swamp monsters, so now there's 2. And later on, another story mission introduces the ice conduits, so you had 3 factions to go up against. Second Son says, fuck all that shit, you're gonna get only 1 faction. Come on.
Just... don't be a dick.
K.I.L.L.
Campaign and story. Now pay attention, in this video, I'm gonna draw a lot of comparisons between the previous Infamous games and Second Son. Why? So you could really see how much they fucked up this game.
Why are you being such a dick?
Anyway, campaign and story. I don't give a rat's ass what anybody says, it's insultingly, unbelievably, and ridiculously short.
And this conversation is now over.
The first Infamous had over 30 story missions, Infamous 2 had about 40, Second Son has only 21 story missions. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm almost embarrassed to admit that I finished this game on 100% in less than a day. And that does not mean that I was sitting in front of my TV non-stop playing this piece of shit. No, I had to go to work, I took breaks, had lunch, took a shit, you know, following through my daily routine, and still, less than a day, normal difficulty 100%. That is short.
Of course.
Now considering the story, Infamous 2 set the bar up pretty high for the series, and Second Son doesn't even come close to surpassing that. The main problem is because the story feels rushed. It's like the developers were trying to get to the end really fast for whatever reason, and in the end it doesn't pay off. In Infamous 2, we had so much more going on. Different factions, Bertrand, destruction of Empire City, the Beast, the Plague. The plot even took some interesting steps to the side and changed the way you thought or felt about certain details, like the Beast. Second Son is basically, I have to go to the city to get a new power because my friends have pieces of concrete stuck in them and they're gonna die. And I'm not saying that the story is bad in general, it's just not as good or interesting as it was in the first two games.
Yeah. And Santa Claus shot JFK.
Morality system. If you dig deep enough into this, then the game can actually make you feel like your choices don't even matter. At least that's what happened to me. The best example would be this part, where the main character's brother, Reggie, dies. And before sacrificing himself, he tells Delsin that he is proud of him.
I'm so proud of you.
But it doesn't matter which side of the karma you're on. It doesn't matter how many people you save or kill, he will still be proud of you. And you know, on my evil playthrough, I killed a lot of policemen and innocent civilians, and he is proud of me? Well, that's fucking good to know. Maybe if I burn down an orphanage and piss all over the innocent people's graves that I killed, then maybe they'll give me the keys to the city. Now, okay, let's jump back into Infamous 1 to the choice that Kessler made you make, where you had to choose between saving the love interest, Trish, or 6 doctors. Now, this choice has a twist. No matter what you choose, you can't save Trish, and what's good about this is that in the end, the game explains why it had to be like that.
I'm gonna find that sick bastard, and I'm gonna kill him.
So after Trish falls to the ground, Cole is able to bring her back to life for a couple of seconds. If your karma is good, then Trish will say that she is proud of you for using your powers to help others. If your karma is evil, then she will be disappointed with you because you're using those powers for selfish reasons and hurting innocent bystanders in the process. So by now, you probably get my point why I have a problem with this scene.
Is that like your whole attempt at a tender moment?
Anyway, the last thing are the choices themselves, and for this, let's compare the final choice in Infamous 2 and the final choice in Second Son. Infamous 2 has one of my most favorite choices that I've ever had to make in my gaming history. Basically, you have to choose between killing millions of humans and saving only thousands of conduits, or saving millions of humans and killing thousands of conduits, including the main character. God damn.
First of all, thank you for using the word conduit.
The final choice in Second Son is between exposing the villain and letting her live, or just killing her. And that's about it. The story and choices just didn't have that much impact on me in this game as they did in the previous games.
Alright, I got this whole thing figured out, okay? We hit the town, we load up at the all-you-can-leech conduit power buffet, we maybe swing by the Space Needle, always wanted to see it, and then we're back home to save some lives.
If Second Son was the first game in the series, then most of this could be easily forgiven, but it's the third fucking game. How do you take so many steps back? Kiss my ass, game.
Hey, normally, that's what I do.
Concrete power. With all the powers in this game, of course there has to be the worst, and the biggest shit sucker is the concrete power. First thing that really pisses me off is how much the story revolves around this power. Because this power is important, it's the power to save your friends. Well, if you play this game like I do, and that is by finishing all the side missions before playing the story, then basically, you're fucked. Because you get this power in the last story mission. In a way, it makes sense. But let me tell you about my problem. So, I finish the story, get the new power, and what the fuck am I supposed to do with it? I've completed all the side missions, I've purchased all the upgrades, the story is finished, karma level is maxed out, I control all the districts, so I didn't have shit to do with the new power.
Absolutely.
What also fucking sucks is that if you happen to switch between powers, then the only way to get concrete back is to absorb it from a DUP soldier. At least that's the only way I know. If there is another way, then be sure to not let me know, because just thinking about this power makes me sick.
Yeah, you convinced me.
So why is this a problem? Well, let's put it like this. If you want the smoke power, you find a smoke source from a chimney or banged up cars. For neon, you find neon lights. For video, you find screens to absorb. And concrete you get from soldiers that have the concrete power, even though the city is full of concrete structures like this, or this, and there's a lot more. Why can't I absorb the power from these structures as well? Are you fucking bullshitting me? What kind of sense does this make? Like, on my first playthrough, after finishing the story, I was testing the concrete power, and at some point I switched. Little time passed and I wanted concrete back, but I had no idea where I could find a source. I was running around the city like a complete moron until I finally discovered that I have to kill DUP soldiers to get it back.
That's no way for a man to live.
Concrete power also doesn't have the super finishing move or the karma bomb like all the other powers have. That's disappointing, but then again, what's the point of having it if you get the power in the last story mission anyway?
Some decisions are too important.
The dash move sucks the biggest concrete cock. At first, it looks awesome. I thought that I can ram cars off the roads like the Hulk or something, but look at this. Why would the car explode like that? Why does the shield keep coming off? So as you can see, it doesn't work that well with cars, but people and traffic cones, that's fine. Yeah, people and traffic cones. Motherfucker, even I can run that shit off the road.
I didn't know, I swear to God.
Power mix. As I mentioned in the last topic, if you want to switch between powers, then you gotta find the source, absorb it, and there you go, you're using a different power. In Infamous 2, we had a really awesome feature to mix up your powers with different attack variations assigned to specific buttons that you were able to switch at any given time.
What does that even mean?
This mechanic gave you freedom to experiment and find the power combinations that suited you best. So if you want to mix up your powers in Second Son, then too fucking bad. The feature doesn't exist in this game, and that really grinds my shit.
You set us up!
Why on earth would you take out such a fantastic mechanic that gave us the freedom to experiment and get creative? You know, discovering different power combinations that players felt most comfortable with. I can't even begin to imagine how much more interesting it would have been if you could actually mix powers in this game. And in my opinion, Second Son definitely needed that feature, because in general, all the powers have the same feel. Not including that is nothing more than a fucking wasted opportunity. It's gone now. Really, game?
What? But that was Augustine and her concrete power.
Leveling powers. I really hate the power leveling system in this game. Some people probably prefer it this way, but I sure as hell don't. In the previous games, leveling powers was done with experience points. You got experience points from completing story missions, side missions, killing enemies, or performing various stunts while killing enemies, and so on. In Second Son, you have to collect blast shards, and that immediately makes me feel like I'm doing a shitty chore, because I want to level up my powers. I mean, why wouldn't I? So I'm forced to run around the city like an idiot collecting these.
I promise, we'll fix it.
To its credit, I will say that the blast shard method makes more sense than experience points, but now look at this. All the blue dots represent blast shards. But wait, there's more. Yeah, there's about 200 of these to collect if you want to max up all the powers.
I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep.
And there's one more really funny detail. Basically, you can collect all the blast shards whenever you want during free roam, during missions, except only this one. I shit you not. You cannot get this blast shard until you play the last story mission, because until then, you can't climb the building high enough. Now let me ask you this. What is the goddamn point? Why stick this one piece of shit out of 200 to a location that you can't even access until in the last story mission? It's not a problem, but just Why?
I was just trying to create a diversion.
Anyway, in other games, collecting blast shards gave you more power storage, so you could attack for longer periods of time before having to recharge. I didn't need to collect them constantly, or at all. But Second Son is gonna stick these shards really deep up your ass. And since you obviously want to level up your powers, you don't have a choice. You're gonna bend over, spread those cheeks, and ask the game nicely to plant them inside. Saints Row 4 had the same thing. You had to collect clusters to level up your powers. So my ass is pretty full. Thank you very much.
So tell me, what would you do?
Side missions. The side missions in Second Son are without any doubt the absolute worst and laziest piles of garbage in the series. First of all, in addition to the regular side missions, Infamous 1 and 2 also had karma-based side missions that were a little bit more unique. And who am I kidding? Of course Second Son doesn't have those, so that's strike one.
Why do you hate me? Be my friend.
Second thing is the mission variety. Again, the side missions in the previous games had more variety. Escort, defense, tailing, pickup and delivery, and on and on. Second Son has only 4 different types of side missions. Well, actually 5 if you count the district showdown, but I'm leaving that one out because in order to play those, you have to complete a certain amount of side objectives in a district. So the side mission variety sucks balls, and that is strike 2.
You have disgraced our ancestors.
Finally, let's take a closer look at the missions. First and foremost, shit gets really repetitive. The city has 13 districts, and these 4 expertly designed side missions are just gonna repeat all over the fucking city. Mission number 1. Hidden camera. It's pretty self-explanatory. You have to find a hidden camera and take it out. By using the phone, you can see the location from where the camera is pointing from, you match it up and take it out. Now my problem begins with a legitimate question. Why the fuck is this even a side mission? Couldn't they really come up with something better?
Goodbye.
This boring piece of garbage repeats 15 times. And what really bothers me is that we already have a side activity in this game where you have to shoot down security cameras. And there's about 70 of those. So you tell me, what is the goddamn point in having a side activity where you shoot down cameras and a series of repetitive side missions where you shoot down more cameras? Like, how fucking lazy can these people be? Mission number 2, stencil art. At first, this can actually be pretty fun. By giving the controller a little masturbation motion, you get to paint different pictures on walls and fences and so on. But by the 10th time, I was really tired with this. You can only choose if you want the good karma picture or the evil karma picture. There's no customization. You can't choose different stencils or colors or painting tools. Nothing. And this repeats 29 times. Yeah, there's more stencil art than story missions in this game. Wow.
Is this how you want to leave your mark on the world, huh?
Mission number 3, Secret Agent. This is probably the closest to an actual side mission that you get to play in this game. By using a picture, you locate the agent and take him out. And this would be okay if you do it for like 3 times max. But this mission repeats 13 times. About a halfway through these, you're gonna notice something really stupid. The target pictures are gonna start repeating. I already killed this guy. They didn't bother to add different character models for each one of these missions? Jesus.
I am so very disappointed in you.
And finally, mission number 4, the one I spit on the most. Finding audio logs by using your phone. If you've played the previous games, then you know that this is pure bullshit. Of course the mission repeats 14 times, but let's get to the main problem. In Infamous 1 and 2, finding audio logs was a side activity. You could collect them during free roam and, actual missions, so why did they make this into a side mission in this game? What the fuck were they thinking?
Worst idea ever.
The mission variety just blows my mind out the ass. And that game is strike 3. You're out. But who am I kidding? There's no real variety. It's just 4 different shitty and poorly thought out missions over and over again. Just rinse and repeat. If you want anything closer to the side missions in the previous games, then you need to download the K.I.L.'s Legacy DLC for a price. Or play the Paper Trail missions, which are pretty interesting as well. So long story short, get the DLC, play Paper Trail, play the story, and if you don't care about completing the game on 100%, then stay away from this bunch of of fucking garbage. Like, I played the previous games a lot, and I really liked them. And there's not a single goddamn chance in the universe that I'm gonna accept such bullshit. And that's all I can take from this game. I'm done.
What? It worked, didn't it?
Infamous Second Son. More like second shit. What happened with this game? I had such high hopes, and I know that Sucker Punch is obviously more than capable of bringing us a better Infamous game than this. No swimming, only one faction to fight, story is god-awful short, moral choices are weak, leveling powers feels like a chore, concrete power is disappointing, the mechanic to mix powers is missing, and the side missions, those are easily the worst in the series. In a way, it's amazing how much thought and detail is missing from this game. Even the location where the game takes place is definitely the weakest in the series, and I'm not saying that Seattle is a bad place to put the game in, it's how it's been designed. It looks good, but when you compare it to Empire City or New Marais, then Seattle is pretty boring. So, does all of this mean that Infamous Second Son is a bad game?
Of course, the only downside being that, nope. Can't think of anything. This is pretty freaking awesome.
Believe it or not, but fortunately, not all is lost. So let's be fair. The truth is that most of these topics I talked about can easily be debated on. Like, if you think about a certain detail long enough and look at things from another perspective, then some of these changes actually make sense why they are the way they are. But I'm not gonna drag this on. I'm still pissed off, and these are just my personal opinions on the game. So let's get to the good stuff. Visuals. The graphics are simply beautiful. All the colors, lighting, and effects, an amazing job done. Now, when it comes to the city, I don't really like how it's been designed, but still, it looks really nice with a fine attention to detail. Even though water puddles don't react to my footsteps for some reason, but still, the game is absolutely gorgeous. Same goes for the character models, they're done really well, definitely next level. You can actually see the muscles move and emotions on their faces. They look great. Voice acting is solid. The game has convincing and great performances, and pretty good writing that can actually be funny sometimes. My favorite performance goes to Christine Dunford as Brooke Augustine. She really makes you hate the character, and I think that's amazing. And on the side, the game also has a decent soundtrack.
I don't know where you heard that. I mean, I'm just a lowly smoke guy.
Now, gameplay is king, and it works. It's awesome. If I ever convince myself to play this game again, it will only be because of the gameplay. It's pretty damn engaging and a lot of fun. I love the powers, except for concrete, of course. Smoke is basic, but neon and video, you really have to see these powers to understand them. Power effects look absolutely beautiful, especially the karma bombs. God damn, that looks amazing. Dashing through air vents, gliding in the sky, or running fast on the ground and up walls is a blast. Even though there isn't a feature to mix powers, thankfully there's still some room for experimentation, but only some. The only small thing that bothers me is that the cover mechanic is gone, which means if I take too much damage, I'll be dashing around like a princess looking for a source or waiting for the health regeneration to kick in. If you played the previous games, then combat scenarios are pretty much what you'd expect, up on rooftops and down on the ground. Climbing mechanic is still present, but you won't be using it that much, especially with the neon and video powers. Overall, gameplay hits the nail the hardest, as it should. And in conclusion, I do have a lot of issues with Second Son. I'm not gonna be sucked in just by these beautiful graphics, because graphics aren't everything. From my point of view, the game is just a good-looking, well-functioning shadow in the series, and it's disappointing because ultimately it didn't really take the series to the next level. But thanks to the good gameplay mechanics, it was still a blast to play through. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. In the end, that's what's important. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.